What's up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to TDPHINSTALK, home of the real Miami Dolphin fans. We are live tonight, TDPHINSTALK Thursday night details with the homie Dwyanne Wood. Last week's show was very explosive, man. I was excited about this week just because how great last week was. This is the moment where you get your good feel of information about the Miami Dolphins football team. You get knowledge about the game overall, and it goes X's and O's and everything in between of what we need to know and what we're trying to accomplish here in Miami. Last week, we were able to talk about a lot of UDFAs, undrafted free agents. And this week, guys, we got another special one for you. We're going to finish out those UDFAs. I think we got 4 more to go. Then we're going to go ahead and get into some more technical information about the game of football to help us as fans understand how this game is to be played more and more every single week, guys. But I'm not going to sit here and delay. I'm going to bring in the information guru himself, the king of details, Mr. Dwyanne Wood. What's up, man?
What's going on, TD? What's going on, Fin family? How y'all doing tonight?
Man, I'm great, man. How you doing?
Man, I feel good. One more
Awesome,
week,
man.
and I'm out of here. I'm out of this place and into another place.
That's what's up, man.
Things are going good.
I hope you have a smooth transition in your move and everything. Shout out to everybody who's here with us already. We already got about 83 people in the room. Y'all make sure y'all hit that like button on your way in so we can fill up the room, guys. Man, yeah, we got a lot of people rocking with us tonight. We got Rhino C, the mod squad in the building. Miles Johnson. I see y'all, all the mods. What's up, mods? We got Flipside Fishing. Man, Finsanity 5 hanging out. I see you. I see you low key. Meyer Justice, George Albanese. Man, the mod squad here heavy tonight. It's a lot of blue. Chef Jew in the house. What's up, y'all? Mr. Miami 305 FM. And hey, True Fin fam in the building. Man, I Sharif in the building, FM in the building. The mod showed up tonight, man. You can tell the mods invested in learning more and more and more. And all y'all who are not mods, shout out to you. And I see Havoc in the building. Make sure Havoc got that wrench. I don't even know what's going on, man. Havoc, you good
Sharif?
now, man. You good now, man. So, guys, I hope y'all ready for this, man. Dwayne, we got over 90 people in the building. We almost going to have 100 soon. So talk to us, man. What we going to be doing tonight, man?
Man, tonight, the last week we got into the meat and potatoes, but tonight we're going to show some sizzle and grizzle going on tonight. We're going to make it pop. We're going to entertain you, and we're going to educate you as well. So I'm looking forward to this broadcast, and I mean we're gonna start it off with some great highlights of some players that, if situations fall the right way and circumstances work in their favor, could be vital parts of the team that we want to build, that'll get us to the path of glory that we all want to see, which is the Dolphins winning the AFC East, winning a playoff game, winning a conference championship, and dare I say, getting to the Super Bowl.
Ain't no getting to, winning. Don't be cutting us short, Dwayne. Don't be cutting us short. Winning the Super Bowl, baby. I'm going to correct it. We winning the Super Bowl. Ain't nobody care nothing about getting to. You knew I was going to call you out on that one.
I knew. That's why I set it up that way. I wanted you to say it.
Oh, man.
I wanted you to say it. I wanted you to say it. You know, but when you think about it, the odds are against each and every one of these UDFAs, but stranger things have occurred on rosters. Stranger things have occurred where the circumstances have met up, aligned, the stars have aligned, and you have a great player from this source of talent. Yes. And we're going to talk about, like I said, some of the offensive and more exciting UDFAs that Chris Greer and Coach Flores and the scouting team have found. So that way, again, you know these names, and when it comes time to get into that 70-person cut, 75-person cut, and that 55-man cut, you know these names that made it. And I realize that some of y'all who may have wanted to go to the training camp because of COVID-19, you're not able to, but at the very least, you can recognize the names and say, okay, you know what? I know about that play. I know what he did. I know what I should be expecting from that person. And you have 2 or 3 that could make an impact on special teams. You have some players that could impact in some of the sub packages on the defense. And you have a player who is very interesting because he's trying to attempt to do something that is rarely done.
Yep.
But he has the historical background and talent to be able to do it. It's just a matter of whether or not he's able to. So we can get started with Mr. Kirk Merritt.
Woo!
And this gentleman
right here
has lit it up. And early in his college career, he had some problems at a few stops, but at Arkansas State, he lit it up. And again, you see someone who has progressed from season to season. As you can see, in 2018, he had 7 TDs, 7 receptions for TDs. But in 2019, he almost doubled that output to 13. Okay. And he has the ability to play on special teams as a returner. So that makes him a little bit more flexible than an Isaiah Ford or Alan Hearns. So keep that in mind when it comes down to final cut time, because of his ability to be able to play special teams as well as be a receiver. Now, this guy, he primarily worked out of the slot at Arkansas State. Very dynamic individual. And when you look at his highlights, you see that he has the ability to be able to out-leap defensive players for those 50-50 balls. He has the ability to catch the ball at the apex or high point of the reception, and he's tough. He can also catch the ball in traffic. As you see, I'm looking at the highlights and I'm like, wow. Every time I see him, I'm like, this guy is a morph between Jarvis Landry and what's the kid from San Francisco that was Samuels, Debo Samuels. I say,
yeah. I got the Landry Dez Bryant mix.
Yep. I mean, because when you think about and think about those drills they do at the combine where you're going across the middle and catching the gauntlet, where they're catching about 10 or 12 passes. This kid can work the slot in that manner as well as go up and get it on the boundary.
And he's a return specialist. Look out, Grant.
Yep. So that's why I say he might just be able to find a spot on the roster as a return guy, as well as a wide receiving threat. So his versatility puts those players who are pigeonholed as either a receiver or a return guy, it puts them at risk. Now, it all depends on how well he does at training camp. But again, this guy shows that he has the talent. And with a 49-inch vertical, I mean, he can jump out of the box and get those 50-50 balls. So this is somebody that you need to have your attention on, Fin fans, and he quite possibly could be your 4th or 5th wide receiver. Now, when you think about his kick return stats, he averaged 27.7 yards for each return that he did. 27.7. Okay.
Gosh,
and that's a good way to start your offense, by being out there on the 27 to 28 yard line rather than at the 20 or the 25, depending on whether it's a touchback or not. So you think about the fact that this kid could impact your offense's starting drive locations, and it's been shown that when you start from the 20 or the 25 yard line on your initial drives, or where you start out with respect to field position, the defense is more likely to stop you from scoring a touchdown at a higher rate than if you start anywhere beyond that 25 yard line. So you want to have that control of the field position game as well. And this kid could possibly bring that to the forefront.
Man, this is a special talent, Dwayne. This is the guy who I've been trying to tell a lot of people about, man, because our wide receiver group is so fluid right now. I've been on record saying we have 0 proven wide receivers. 0. And what I mean by that is Devontae Parker. We got 1 good season out of 5. So we need 1 more to feel like he's really the number 1 guy, even though we'll list him as that right now. Then you got Preston Williams, has so much talent, but at the same token, hasn't even done it a full year. He had injuries. You got Jakeem Grant, injury concerns riddling him, and then you're always concerned about his size and whether he can even break out to become a guy who can be that top-notch number 1 guy. Then you got Albert Wilson. Everybody knows his potential, but once again, didn't live up to his contract. Luckily, we were able to get that talent on a restructure, but you're also looking at the injury bug that struck him as well. Then you got a whole bunch of guys like your Hearns and Fords that never quite made that mark and solidified their spot. But then you bring in a guy like Kirk Merritt, he can come shake everybody's world up. I mean, undrafted, you're going to have an opportunity. If he makes this roster, I can see them locking him down immediately on a 2 to 3 year deal. Midway through the season, especially just give us glimpses of what Preston Williams was for us last year. And gosh, guys, you got Kirk Merritt and Preston Williams possibly leading the receiving core with Devontae Parker. So this is the kid to watch out for. There are other guys that we're going to talk about, but this is the special one for me overall, and that's Kirk Merritt. You got to watch out for him. Got that Dez Bryant 50-50 leaping ability. He concentrates on the ball, and he also has that that Jarvis Landry, factor to him in the open field. And that's what I love about him.
And he's got the weight at 215. I mean, he can break tackles. And you think about it, he's not a small receiver, but he has the speed and athleticism to be able to make the cuts that smaller wide receivers make, but yet still have the physicality to be able to break tackles, get those short 0 and 1 route catches, and take it to the house. So you think about it as a potential to be able to break off a long gain from a short pass. That's a big thing for offense to be able to have that ability to take a short pass on a 2nd and 7 and stretch and move the chains and move them emphatically, where you think instead of a 5-yard gain, you're now getting a 15 or 18-yard gain. So he has the ability. It's just a matter of whether he can put it all together with the mental part of it, as well as stay out of avoid the issues that plagued him earlier in his college career. So there is a little bit of Go ahead.
Now, somebody made a good point. He has that Anquan Bolden frame, which is true. And you know what I like about him? Whenever I watch those highlights, when he caught a touchdown, he has that how can I say that moxie. He has that moxie. You could tell some of the corners they were guarding him were talking during the game, and he was showing them, because after he would catch it, he basically stare him down and do that. You know, that the opposite of Devontae Parker. Devontae Parker is more passive, you know, but this guy wants it. He wants the challenge. He wants that fight.
He's got that alpha dog, alpha dog mentality where, you know what, feed me. You may stop me on 5-6 straight reps, but that 6th or 7th rep, I'm getting mine, and I'm going to tell you that I got it. And I'm going to tell you again when we get back on the field as well.
It's crazy, man. But this is the guy, y'all. Don't sleep on him. Watch out for him in camp, because he's the hell. Hey, if you really think about it, him and Devontae Parker are the healthiest receivers coming in.
Yeah. And you think about it, he's got that attitude, that same type of attitude that Jarvis Landry has. You know, where unfortunately, Jarvis Landry was a number 2 dog, but wanted to be paid like a number 1. But he's got that same mentality that he's the best guy on the field.
And you know what he has in his game? You know what he has in his game that Jarvis didn't?
What's that?
That 50-50 go up and get it ability.
Oh, yeah.
He has that climb over the corner and go snatch it from you ability. Yep. Jarvis was never that kind of threat.
Yep. Again, this guy, he has the ability to be able to get those 50-50 balls, but he's also has the mentality to work the slot, work inside, and still have the ability to put pressure on any safety when they're playing a cover 2 and you don't know whether or not that guy's going to run a 7 route.
You know what I just thought about, Dwayne? You know what I just thought about?
What's that?
And people need to understand this. Here's why I'm high on this guy right now, actually making this roster. Do you know the advantage that he's going to have in camp that he's going to show? We better not forget that we got Xavier Howard and Byron Jones at the cornerback position. I think Devontae Parker is going to do well against them in camp, because, you know, he has that, he can go up and get it and he can run some routes. But Preston Williams, I think that Preston Williams is the type of guy that if Byron Jones is playing him, Preston Williams is the type of receiver that lives off of running sweet routes that gets him open and gets separation, and on a go route, actually having it drop right in his hands. But if a cornerback's close, throwing his hand in there, Preston's already known to drop the ball even without somebody throwing their hand in there. It's not going to be easier with a guy like Byron Jones, who actually is going to remain close to him at all times, throwing his hand in there. He may actually make Preston not look as good, even though he'll still be effective. And then you got guys like Grant and Albert Wilson. Those guys are going to give them fits in camp. But a guy like this, he loves the scrap. He loves that. It's like you don't see, and then you wonder, then why wasn't he drafted higher? Again, when you talk about those smaller schools not winning as many games, those type of situations, this guy is going to stand up to the challenge, and he has that it factor with him. Watch out for him, y'all. Y'all remember we said that. Y'all watch out for this kid, man.
And you know what else? The benefit of him playing every day against, when they do practice, against a Byron Jones and Xavier Howard is going to benefit him because he's going up against some of the best cornerbacks in practice every single day. His skill set can't do anything but get better. You know, and believe me, there's going to be some talking and some battles during practice. It goes without saying when you are around people for that period of that length of time every day for a period over a 2-3 month period during those practices, there's going to be some heated moments.
Yeah.
And you're going to see that personality come out, that alpha dog come out. Now, again, he just has to control it and realize that he's playing with that is practice. But by the same token, he's going to have to do something to put a stamp to make sure that he is seen and heard and known by Flores and by Chan Gailey, so that he can be taken notice of and not just a camp body. And I'm sure that he is going to be able to do those dynamic things to have that attention.
Yes, sir. Y'all keep your eyes open for him, man. Who we got now, Dwayne?
Oh, next is another wide receiver, Matt Cole. This kid is originally from Chicago, Illinois, but he played ball at McKendree State, and another dynamic player, 5'10", 200 pounds, a special teams player as well as a wide receiver. So another person that can do multiple things and be an asset to the team. He had 18 tackles on special teams, including 12 solo tackles, and he ran the 40 in 4.48. So the kid has some ups, but you when you see his highlight film, it's like you're seeing a thick receiver. It's almost like he's a running back, because you think about, he's not the long, lean wide receiver like a Ocho Cinco. This kid is thick. He looks like if he wanted to, he could play tight end by putting on about 25, 30 pounds. But he plays wide receiver, averaged 35.4 yards per return, and averaged over 100 yards in all-purpose yards every game for McKendree University. So the kid has skills. He has agility, and when you think about the special teams that the Dolphins are building with Flagellum and Greer Hill, you know, they're realizing that the third aspect of the team, special teams, needs to be improved as well. And they want to get quality athletes to play all facets of special teams. This kid can be a threat both as a returner and as a gunner on the special teams. And when you go ahead.
It's clear to me, Dwayne, that we went and got a lot of trench players as UDFAs, and we got some receivers as UDFAs. They obviously see that there is a need at the receiver position because there's too much. It's too fluid. It's no solids on our receiving core. Now, again, everybody keeps saying, well, Devontae Parker's solid. Yeah, he's solid because of last year, but you know, we don't have that solid guy that has been doing it for a few years that we feel, you know. So Devontae, honestly, this is his proven year. So we have to understand, this speaks volumes that this is the second guy we're going over at an impact position at the receiver position with the same prototype, just like Kirk Merritt. great physical receiver. He's a little undersized when it comes in if you're comparing him to Kirk Merritt, but also returns the ball. See, it's like they're looking for the upgrade for Albert Wilson and Jakeem Grant, because the way Jakeem Grant's contract is structured, they can get out of it after this year. 2021 is their out with the only about 1 point something million in dead cap. So they're looking for that future replacement just in case Jakeem Grant doesn't work out or Albert Wilson doesn't work out. And you also have to look at it. Those guys are getting older and older in this league. They're not babies anymore. Jakeem Grant and Albert Wilson aren't the rookies or sophomores they used to be. So they're starting that search for that next guy. And if you look at both of these guys, they're prototypes. They have similarities to those other guys, but better attributes in some other areas. And a lot of things that you hold your head on with those guys that we had for the last few years is their speed. These guys are fast, more physical. That's the key, ladies and gentlemen. More physical. We can never forget that even Jakeem Grant can't get off the line of scrimmage on bump and runs very good. So this is what it's about. So notice that they're going to look for that next guy, ladies and gentlemen. Don't be surprised.
And also the ability for both of them to play on special teams. And with Matt Cole, he can play on both sides on special teams. You saw some of the highlights. He was making some outstanding solo tackles in the open field as a gunner. Again, the flexibility and the ability to be able to be utilized in multiple functions, multiple parts of the team, make him an asset. And at the very least, if this kid doesn't make the 55-man roster, he's on the practice squad. So somebody like Mac Hollins and or Ricardo Lewis, they may be on the outside looking in, even on the practice squad. Because if you could pull somebody like this, let's say a Fedulum, he gets injured, this guy, Matt Cole, can come off the practice squad and play that gunner position and play it where there's not that much of a drop-off, not that much of a loss.
Yeah, so, I see Matt Cole as a guy who is going to compete in camp, and we're going to grow to like him. And I think that he's going to be a better and better pro year after year. And I think that it may end up on the practice squad. And I think he's somebody that we may be able to retain on the practice squad because, again, coming from a really small school, and this is the type of guy that you develop and you try to move up eventually and see if he becomes a better and better pro. Like that Edelman type individual. And develop him into that type of prototypical guy. I think that Kirk Merritt is a guy who can actually, his upside is actually making a 55-man roster, and Matt Cole practice squad, but we can all be shocked about it, and he can elevate himself because, again, people are just thinking that Grant is a guarantee, and Albert Wilson. I mean, you got to look at it. These guys could potentially be better than those guys, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, the fact that Greer and Flores have put together a 90-person roster where nobody really is safe from either having their starting spot taken and or their roster spot taken. So everybody's going to be working that much harder to keep their snap count and or keep their food in their mouth on every practice regimen. I mean, every practice is going to be like, I got to show what I can do, because if not, the next person up, the next man up, the next man behind me could actually overtake my spot or take my starting spot. I mean, how many people on the roster right now are really guaranteed a starting spot when you really think about it.
Sure.
When you really think about it, maybe two that are guaranteed a starting spot.
Who?
Maybe two. Byron Jones and Kyle Van Noy and I know you hate to hear this, but at the moment, X.
All right, y'all. Dwayne has left the building. Man, listen. No. I mean, he should be. I'll put it like that. Yeah. He should be. Yeah. But listen, man, if Nick Needham come to practice playing better and X ain't what we want him to be off of that injury, you never know.
And again, that's what I'm saying. Everybody on that team is just about they gotta worry about what they have and keeping where they're at, keeping what they have. And that's what you want on a roster. You don't want people feeling comfortable. Okay. The only person that really should be feeling comfortable are Byron Jones and and Van Noy. Yeah. Okay. When you really think about it, because you look at the QB situation, that could be a fluid situation. Running back, offensive line, you're gonna have some changes, and or people gonna have to step their game up to keep what they have. Okay. Yep. On a defensive line, there's gonna be some changes. Okay, and in the linebacking core, there's gonna be some changes because of the additions that Flores and at Greer and the scouting department have done. They have made this a situation where nobody is feeling too comfortable.
Yep. And even the guys that should feel comfortable that you named, they're new, so they're coming in with a desire to lead. Van Noy is coming in with the desire to lead. Byron Jones, with that kind of money, he appreciates Miami and coming in with the desire to lead by example. So this is going to be that's what I love the most about this new built roster. Nobody is comfortable. And what I love about bringing in the UDFAs that we did, you got a receiving core that's fluid, but now you make them by bringing these two guys in, and Matt Cole and Kirk Merritt, you basically tell the rest of those receivers, don't you ever get too comfortable.
There you go.
Oh, yeah, TD thing, y'all. Don't get too comfortable, man. Yeah. Don't. You can't, because any one of these guys can sneak up and take your spot. And it's realistic.
Yeah.
It's realistic. We literally are naming Preston Williams a starting outside corner right now when he only played half of a season, and he started that season with a lot of drops. But we just love his upside and feel like we have a hidden gem. And people need to realize, I'm with y'all on that, but he was an undrafted free agent. Why can't another person come in and do the same thing? So keep your eyes open.
Yeah. And you know what? Everybody's talking about the four that you mentioned, Grant, Wilson, Parker, Preston Williams. Nobody's mentioning Mac Hollins and Ricardo Lewis. So everybody in that receiving room has a chance to be on the 55-person roster.
Yep.
Because there's question marks and or uncertainty about each and every one of the wide receivers. Whether that's they're new, they're coming off of an injury, or they're coming off of a prove-it situation where you said, okay, you did it once, now do it again. Show it to me again. Yep. So although it's a talented room, it's a room that still can't be comfortable because people are putting themselves in a situation to take food out their mouth.
Take food out of their mouth.
Yeah.
Let me say one more thing on that, Dwayne, with this whole, because every time you say take food out of their mouth, it resonates to me, because let me help some of y'all understand something. I want y'all to please listen closely to this, because this is the way you build a dynasty. Let me tell you one thing that they're doing that you got to pay attention to, and this is why I say the days of loving a player is gone. Stop doing it now. Otherwise, you're going to set yourself up for heartbreak after heartbreak after heartbreak. Let me show you what the Dolphins are doing. Think about it. Look at the cornerback position. You think that Needham is just X's replacement? You think Noah is X's replacement? The way you build a dynasty is saying, I have two lockdown corners in Xavier Howard and Byron Jones. We can argue that, but I'm just going to say it for this conversation. I have two lockdown corners, and I got both of them for the next 3 to 4 years. That isn't what the plan is, ladies and gentlemen. Their plan is to continue to bring in corners, and they're hoping that eventually they can find one who can replace one of those guys. Why would they want to replace a lockdown guy? Because if I could develop a new guy to save me $10 million a year, that's what I'm going to do. When Byron Jones has how many years is Byron Jones deal?
5.
5 year. It's virtually a 3-year guarantee almost, right?
Yep.
If I could develop somebody in 3 years to allow us to say, hey, Byron, we don't want to pick up the last 2 years of your deal. We're either trading you or we're cutting you. That's what it's about. You get cheaper and develop talent to be just as good, if not better. You don't fall in love with the player. Anybody is replaceable at the right time. So just because you got a position solidified doesn't mean you don't keep on bringing in guys at the position, because you hope one of those cheap guys turn out to be their replacement and save you $10 million to help another bleeding area.
I mean, for example, Byron Jones and Xavier Howard, they make up together 12% of the salary cap. Now, if you have replacements ready at the point of when those contracts cause the organization to make a decision, then you already have planned for the future, and you're saving on that salary cap. So that's the reason why you acquire talent, because you want to be able to rip and reapply the same skill sets from different players at a cheaper rate, but have the same quality and talent in place.
Yep. So
that's why you draft a Noah Igbenanani, so that you can have that in place for whatever situations may occur a year, 2 years down the line. You still have that talent at a rookie contract basis, rather than having to go out in free agency and buy another free agent. You already have somebody, and then you draft another one. So you always keep it going.
Yep. And that's how dynasties are born. And somebody say you got to draft well, just like Dwayne just said. Yes, you got to draft well. You got to see if you can accelerate anything for your team by picking up UDFAs that can end up being very valuable pieces on your team. Man, players are players, y'all. They everywhere out here. It's just, do you have great coaching to develop that untapped talent? That's where you exponentially excel. When you're developing the untapped talent, the talent that people say, well, they weren't great in college and they weren't even drafted, but you end up making that individual a player who could eventually be top 15 at the position in the league, you won. And that's what it's about. You don't need the top 5 guy in the league. You just need to develop untapped talent to be just, belong as one of the starters in the league. And that's what it's about, man. I'm excited, man.
You mentioned that, and that ties in really to what y'all were talking about last night with coaching. because coaching and talent together makes success. If you have all the talent in the world and you are not able to reach that talent and put it in the right position to be successful, then as a coach or a coaching staff, you failed. And that's why Mr. O'Shea is now the receivers coach rather than the offensive coordinator for the Miami Dolphins. He's now the receiver coach for the Browns because his message wasn't able to be received by the talent. Now, coaching and talent go together to make successful teams. These players need to take the coaching, and the coaches need to put the players in the best position to be successful. Now, when you have somebody like a Kirk Merritt or Matt Cole on the team, you're putting them according to their talent and skill sets in the best possible positions to be successful for the team. And it doesn't matter if you have the best plan in the world, if you can't relay that plan and then put those players in the best position to be successful, you have failed. You failed in your responsibility, and you failed in what you were accountable for. I always use those things, responsibility and accountability. They are important in coaching. But that was last night. I just felt that I had to put that in. In this situation with these players that we're talking about tonight, they need to show that they have the skill set to be a viable asset to the team, to the logo. Okay. And these coaches, with what they have built as a staff, Flores has built as a staff, I believe that that staff will be able to put these players in the best possible position to be successful and or train and coach them to be better players. Because like Gerald Alexander, he's able to reach these players because he's maybe 10 years older than those defensive backs. So they're relatable. They are relatable to each other. Therefore, you're going to see some improvement in the secondary. You're going to see some improvement with the offensive line because of talent and because they have the right personnel as far as managing and coaching the personnel that they have. Now, as I digress back into the UDFAs, this young man, Tyson Render, who made headlines for the fact that Bill Belichick was so eager to see him work out that he skipped the combine to go watch him work out in the rain in Tennessee. So that tells you the skill set that this guy has. It also tells you the pull that his college coaches had with the NFL as well to be able to get Belichick down there. But this kid, 6'4", 256 pounds, I can see him as both a outside linebacker and a defensive end in certain situations when you want to utilize what I call a NASCAR package, when you want fast pass rushing players on the field on a third down, so you don't have to blitz as much, but you still can bring the pressure. This kid can fit the bill, and also he has the ability to drop into coverage. He's made plays. He's as a cover linebacker, filling the curl to slot, curl to flat zone, and has made interceptions. He keeps his hands available. And when I say that, I mean when he realizes that he does not have a chance at getting the sack, he gets those hands up and he is able to deflect balls as well. When you can, it doesn't matter how you stop that play, as long as you stop that pass play, that's a good thing. And when you can keep your hands readily free from your blocker to be able to knock down or deflect a pass, that's a win for the defense. This young man has the ability to do that, and he has made some very impactful tackles in the flat, in coverage, and when playing the edge on run plays. So you look at his stats. Okay, he had, as a junior, he had 11 solo tackles, but then in his senior year, he tripled that and had 36. Crazy, so man. He got more effective as he went through his college career. And when you watch this kid, you see that he reads his keys and he goes with confidence. This kid can be
10 tackles for a loss.
Yep. And when you and he had 3.5 sacks last year, and he had an interception as well. So that proved that goes to my point that I was saying about his ability to be able to cover as well. I watched the Middle Tennessee State Michigan game, and he had some good plays in that game. You think about the fact that in that game and in other games, he was used as a defensive end and as a outside linebacker on certain occasions. The guy has the flexibility to be able to be used in multiple situations. Now, if this guy does not make the 55-man roster and he's put on the practice squad, I would not be surprised. That's exactly what I was going to say. I would not be surprised if Belichick picked him off of that practice squad. So that may influence how he is put on the roster, because you already know that Belichick, by the picture there, eyed that talent. And if he's given another opportunity to get that talent, Belichick would not hesitate to do that, to do so. So he may be able to make the roster. Another person who's threatened by this signing is Eguavin. I don't know which way to say the name, but if it's Eguavin, fine. But he's putting those linebackers that are currently on the team on notice that, hey, I'm coming here. I'm trying to get some food into my family's mouth, into my baby's mouth, and I don't care if I have to take it out of your mouth.
And not only Eguavin, but you got a lot of guys who we feel have a lot of upside, but they weren't even playing last year due to injuries or whatever reason. So yeah. And so it's the linebacker position to me is also fluid. We got a lot of specialists and guys that can do a lot of things, but who's gonna make that name for themselves and become that dog and say this is mine? I mean, we can love a lot of these guys, but at the same token, man, has anybody come out emerged as this is my position and nobody can take it? Yeah.
I mean, everybody fell in love with Zach Zeeler last year, but this may be his biggest threat to being on the roster. Tyson Render.
Yep. And 6'4", 256.
A big guy. He has the physical traits of a inside linebacker, but he has the ability to play the strong side, outside linebacker, or jack linebacker as well. So
somebody put in the comment section, anybody can look good at Middle Tennessee State, basically a high school. If that's how you want to see it, but I know it's a lot of college teams like high schools end up producing Pro Bowlers in the NFL. So when we draft guys or when we pick up guys, remember what Flores' prototype is. Does the guy have good hands? Does the guy have good eyes? And does the guy have good feet? And if you have those attributes and you have that body type, we can coach that and make it something. So don't never sleep on a guy because of the school that they went to, because there are plenty small school players that end up becoming perennial Pro Bowlers. And some of them even in the Hall of Fame.
And you think about it, the fact that he played at Middle Tennessee State, that doesn't diminish the competition that he played. Like I said, they played Michigan, and in fact, they were ahead in the game against Michigan. So, you know, they're playing Division I talent. They're playing Division I teams. So that's a pretty unfair statement to make regarding the Blue Raiders. I mean, there's certain teams, certain conferences that play certain way, but the talent that you're playing at the Division I level is consistent throughout. So I wouldn't necessarily poo-poo Mr. Render's ability just because he played for Middle Tennessee, and obviously Bill Belichick saw something in the video that he saw of him even before he went to the workout to justify going to the workout. So there's talent there.
Why is Rhino Steve saying this guy needs to put on more weight? Do you know Jerome Baker is 225, Raekwon McMillan is 243?
And that's what I'm saying.
Know that? I mean, you're saying this guy needs to put on weight, 6'4", 256?
It's very rare you find linebackers these days that are 250. I mean,
yes, I don't know. I'm like, I kept reading that he needs to get bigger. I'm like, what? Man.
I mean, he's and you know, at 256 to be able to still be able to drop into coverage, you know, that's a rarity. That is a rarity. I mean,
yeah,
it's not many.
He said he sees him as an edge and not a linebacker. Well, go ahead and close your eyes and imagine him as a linebacker. Then what do you think? Then what do you think?
If you play him at defensive end, right? He's smaller, and you have already Agba, Lawson at those positions. But now, if you can get him to be the jack linebacker in certain passing situations, man, you are bringing a lot more to the table with respect to threats against the quarterback, rushing, pass rush wise, than if you were bringing him from the defensive end position in a 3-4. I mean, when you really think about the full potential of this guy, he should be played at linebacker. There's certain occasions where he might be able to play defensive end when you want a fast guy, but fast pass rush. But him coming from the jack line, from the outside linebacker position, at that size, then that's a fearful thing. That's something that quarterbacks don't want. Somebody that big, that fast, coming in with active hands and being able to hit you in the manner that Tyson Render hits people.
And you see how Jerome Baker always got up in there on the quarterback, but they were able to shrug him off at that 225 frame.
Yeah, I remember the one impactful play that I saw Jerome Baker make was in the Indianapolis Colts game when he was on a blitz and he was uncovered and he hit Brian Hoyer hard. And that was the only play all year that I saw him make an impactful sack. So I'm ready to see harder hits from the linebacker position, whether that's from the interior linebackers or the outside linebackers. And with a little coaching, this guy could be someone that can accomplish that. Now, I didn't compare him to Pro Bowlers as talent yet. I compared him in size to Ray Lewis. I would not say that he's as good as Ray Lewis or he's going to be better than Ray Lewis. That's not what I said. I said as far as playing weight, 256, that's a rarity. That's a Ray Lewis size. But by no means am I saying that this kid is the next Ray Lewis.
Interesting, man. I don't know if this is true. They said I thought he was projected 3rd round pick. I'm not sure about that. I don't know what he was actually projected. I didn't actually look that up, but I can let you know if in the future because I don't see anything on it right now. But another position, again, where the position that we have right now, whether people want to admit it or not, it's fluid because many people can't even name who our starting linebackers will be. We could throw names out there, but nobody feels 1,000% confident on who the starting linebackers will be. What's your thoughts on that, by the way, Dwayne? Who do you think is going to start at the linebacker positions?
Wow. You know,
that's part of the point.
I would say that McMillan is going to start inside.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to say that Van Noy is going to start. And see, the thing is, it's kind of hard to say who's going to start because there's going to be situations where Van Noy is going to be inside, he's going to be playing outside as well. So, but if you ask me to state 4 right off the top, I would say it's going to be McMillan, Van Noy, and man, I'm torn between Baker and Beagle, but I'm like,
yeah,
it's going to be tough.
Somebody said Miami had the depth chart out, has the depth chart out now. This is the moment where the depth chart means nothing.
Yeah,
the depth chart means nothing.
The only place that it means is for how they're going to put people in a situation. Like with Malcolm Perry, is he going to be classified as a wide receiver, or running back, or quarterback? Right now, he's listed as a running back, but that doesn't mean that he's going to be the 4th or 5th running back. It depends. Just when you look at the depth chart for the linebackers, I mean, they have certain sites. They have McMillan and Beagle and Elandon Roberts and Van Noy. So I don't think that. I think that if really it came down to it, that Van Ginkel on 3rd downs is going to be the person that's going to be there to be able to make the impact pass rushing reps. But this kid Tyson Render could do it as well. So it all depends how things are going to shake out. And don't forget about Trent Harris. I mean, there's a lot of talent, or I should say a lot more talent team-wise, and especially in the linebacking linebacker room because of the free agent acquisitions. It's just a matter of how they want to deploy it and the down in situation. I mean, because you could see Van Noy being on the inside on first down, and then maybe in certain third down situations, instead of putting him in coverage, you put him on the outside as a rusher, or you may bring him in as a pass rusher from the inside. You do a gap exchange with a different lineman, and you send him on a pass rush. So there's a lot of options that can be, but your question is difficult because we really don't know how these plays are all gonna shake out.
And there's so many good ones, and some of them are specialists in certain downs and things like that. It's hard to, like some people are saying in the comment section, is on this team you can't really say starters because all these guys, they're going to be situational. But here, guys, first of all, we've never had depth like this in like forever. I don't remember when we've had depth like this at so many positions. That's why it's crazy how we've altered this roster that fast. When people said, "Oh, this is going to be a 3-4 year deal," we're competing now. Let's get that straight. This is a competing roster right now. As long as we find some we understand what we're going to do at the quarterback position, and if the O-line is playing well. But let me change the narrative on starters, Dwayne. I will agree with you guys and say you really can't call people starters on this kind of roster. Then let's shift the narrative. If it's no longer a starter, because I kind of agree with that, the way things are built, unless it's a quarterback, of course. I don't want to say starter anymore. I want to say if we're in the playoffs and we're tied up in the fourth quarter, who's going to be on the field and not coming off? That's I guess that's the better way to look at it. Who are the guys who are going to be called on above anybody else in that position? And the reason why I say that is because what's going to happen in the playoffs with a team like this that has so many specialists, this guy's good for third down passing plays, that guy's good to stop the run. But when you're in the trenches and you're in crunch time in the biggest stage, teams will know that about you. And what will happen is they'll run and hurry. Like take for defense, for instance, the offense that you're playing against, they're going to be running a hurry up where you can't even bring in that third down specialist or that second down situation guy. They're going to get a completion for the first down. They're going to hurry people up. Who's the guy that you're going to trust to play all three plays, even if it's not your strength? And those are the guys that you put at the top of the depth chart. And I think those are the guys that are going to end up having the number one role on the depth chart. So when teams speed it up, they can still handle that third down situation, even though they're excellent on first down, stopping the run. So I love the situation we're in, though, because you couldn't ask for it to be any better. Like, when have we had a point where we don't know who's going to really start at the linebacker position, but we have a lot of great options? It used to be we don't know who's going to start and who even going to be good enough. Like, do y'all realize how far we've come? How the switch is like a total flip-flop right now? Take notice of that and appreciate what Greer and Flores is doing right now. This is a thing of beauty. We've never seen this before. We've either been top heavy or not heavy at all.
Yeah.
And I mean, I love it, man.
In 2+ years, we've gone from having to see Kiko Alonso as an undersized middle linebacker, dropping the coverage, and sometimes not even maintain the assignment that he had, to where now we have experienced, athletic, right-sized personnel that can meet most needs of every single sub-package that can possibly occur on the field. And I know that I'm speaking of Kiko Alonso in a less than glorifying manner is somewhat heresy, but he was never a middle linebacker. He was undersized. So that's why you got run over in the run game. A person like this, like Tyson Render or Van Noy, at the size that they bring, you're not going to have those guards easily defeating linebackers of this size on a regular basis. Okay, so be glad that things have transgressed the way they have, and that the talent has increased, because there should be marked improvement in the run game because of the acquisitions and the drafting and the ability to be able to defend those guards, those opposing teams' guards, by physically capable or more physically capable linebackers than what we've had the last few years. When you have an inside linebacker crew of Baker, Egwavon, and McMillan manning 3 of those 4 linebacker positions, you are setting yourself up for a run defense that's weak against the run. And then you put that and combine that with a small nose tackle. Again, you are allowing the guards for the opposing team to dictate the pace of the game by running the ball down our throats. With the acquisitions of Raekwon Davis, possibly Benito Jones, and incorporating them with a Christian Wilkins and a Shaq Lawson and a Emmanuel Ogbah, who are better at defending the run on a consistent basis and have the size to match up better with the opposing team's guards and tackles. I'm hopeful, very hopeful of the fact that the Dolphins' run defense is going to be better.
Yes, sir. And you know what?
It's a team made up of 6 and 7 and 8s. TD said this from the beginning.
And you know what's crazy about that comment, Joe? I know that I said that what we're going to build is a team full of 6, 7s, and 8s, because that's what builds a great all-around team. Not all the 9s and 10s. You could have 2 to 3 of them on your team, but the rest of the guys need to be 6, 7s, and 8s, and get rid of those 1, 2, and 3s and 4s. All right. And if you got any 5s, it's because they're young, undrafted, and you want to turn them into a 6, 7, or an 8. Now, the crazy thing about you repeating that 6, 7, and 8, and hopefully you don't mind me doing this real quick, Dwayne, just a quick little game here. The 6, 7s, and 8s is what you can afford to make your team great. But you know why we were allowed to have a whole bunch of 6, 7s, and 8s? Because you're not paying a quarterback $40 million a year. I'm not even going to get started on the Dak Prescott situation. I'll talk about that another time. But I want y'all to really think about this for a second.
40, you mean 45?
45. Don't even remind me. But just imagine paying a quarterback $40 million, because you gotta pay him, TD. So let's play a quick game here. Because if you're paying a quarterback $45 million, that means you're not gonna have Fitz and Tua or Rosen. And even if you did have those guys, think about it. Fitz has an annual salary of about $5.5 million per year. All right. I know he backloaded the contract, but it's still an average of 5.5. Tua's going to cost us about $8 million. That's about $13 million between the two quarterbacks, plus Rosen has a $1 million cap hit, really $900,000 this year, if I'm not mistaken. $14 million. Now, if you had a $40 million quarterback, first of all, 2 of them guys probably going to be gone. You probably going to have that $45 million. Let's take Tua. Say Tua was your $40 million guy, and you got Rosen at $2 million backing him up. You have to basically say, based off of what we're paying now, you're going to increase it by $30 million. I want y'all to play a game with me real quick. We just paid our quarterback $40 million. Can y'all tell me who we should let go on this roster to make up for the $30 million? Y'all go ahead. Tell me in the comment section right now. If our quarterback wants $40 million, who on this roster would you let go just to keep the quarterback, just to make up for that additional $30 million? Please let me know. Let me know in the comment section, which contracts would you terminate right now to make that happen? And I want you to realize how many 7, 8s, and 9s you're going to have to get rid of. How many 6, 7, 8s, and 9s you're going to have to get rid of to make up that difference.
Wait a minute, TD. It's not even that. Another thing is, how many 4, 5s, and 6s are you going to have to bring onto the team?
More. You got to bring in more 4, 5s, and 6s. You got to bring in.
Yeah,
that's how it works. Because you're about to get rid of it. Like, think about it, guys. And then you don't want to get rid of some of the new additions. So who would you get rid of? You would get rid of X's 15. Okay. Then where do you want to take the other 15 from? We just got rid of X. Now where do you take the other from? What, Grant's $4 million? Oh, okay. Well, show me the other $11 million. Where do you want to take it from? Where do you want to take the other $11 million from? See, you got to keep going. You can't just throw out one player and think they're going to make it happen. X is gone. Grant is gone. Who else, guys? Who else?
Tankus Lee Rosen and X together wouldn't make up $30 million.
No.
So you'd have to give up more than that.
Bobby McCain, 6. Okay, we moving somewhere. Now give me where the other $6 million at. Who else are we letting go for the other 6? Now remember, you still got to replace these guys with 4, 5s, and little 3s, 4s, and 5s. Who else? Who else do you let go? Do you see what I'm saying? Ogbar. Okay, we let Ogbar go. Now we're even. So we had to let go all those players. So now you only got Byron Jones on the boundary, who we feel is the lockdown guy. Now we went out and got Ogbar. Now we supposed to replace Ogbar now? Jakeem Grant, we could probably absorb that. You see what I'm saying, guys? So this is how that works. And not to mention, some of these guys' contract keep raising every year. So the $30 million that we have to make up for next year is going to be even more. This is why it's tough to win. You're removing talent to have the same person that's already on your roster. Same person. So you have to make a decision. Why do you think Seattle was ready to go ahead and trade Russell Wilson to the Browns? Why you think that they already trying to make Dak the highest paid, which I still wouldn't do, and he wants more? Ladies and gentlemen, why does TD bring this up all the time? Because we could very well have to face this one day. And we're going to have to come up, but we're going to have to make a decision. And we're going to have to say, do we keep the guy or do we keep on getting young? Because let me tell you something. I don't care if Tua Tagovailoa came in and won 4 Pro Bowls in a row. I hope in 2 years they draft another quarterback just to sit behind them and just have an asset, even if, because you got to prepare for this. You cannot be held ransom for one guy. You can't be. And hopefully he works with us and that'll be even better. But you got to prepare for it. And you know who did that this offseason? The Green Bay Packers did it. With Jordan Love.
They got a big jump ahead with Jordan Love. And whether he plays this year, next year, 2021, 2022, or 2023, the fact that he's already on the roster already, absorbing the playbook and absorbing the mechanisms of how things are done in Green Bay puts them ahead of the ball game.
They say by that
with
time
respect to ever losing Aaron Rodgers.
We'll see. They say by that time it'll be a QB cap. Well, right now it's not. We can keep on hoping that there will be. But right now,
I don't think there'll ever be a QB cap.
Yeah, because you can't make a one position cap and not the rest.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. But we'll see. I don't know. You know, games evolve. But we'll see. This is that tough situation, man. This is why I could tell y'all now. That's why I know that that's why they're not in a rush to trade Rosen, because at the very least he's I think a very good backup.
Nobody takes a team friendly deal anymore, because that would go against the NFL Players Association's goals, which is to get the most they can for each and every player. So you as a top talent, you up for renegotiation, and you're a talent that can make $40 million, and you decide, I want to give a team discount and sign for $32 million. That suppresses the market. Yep. And the NFL Players Association is not going to go for that.
You know what?
They don't go for that.
Dwayne, if I was the Dallas Cowboys, I would cut Dak Prescott and call Cam Newton.
Possibly.
I would cut Dak Prescott, tell Cam Newton I give you $10 million, and if you lead this team to the playoffs and have some level of success, I'll give you a multi-year deal, but I ain't paying no quarterback $35+ million. That's what I would tell him straight out. And Cam would have the most weapons in the NFL surrounding him with the top 5 offensive line. You can't tell me he don't still have a good run in him behind that team. Because you know why? And Jerry Jones knows that team, you can put several quarterbacks back there and they'll be successful. I personally believe that Dak Prescott is a product of his surroundings. He's had the Tannehill Tennessee situation for 3 years. But you put him with the old Miami and he doesn't do what he's been doing. And that's my personal belief. That is my personal belief. Dak Prescott is not as special as people think. He's special when he has everything around him, just like Ryan Tannehill. It's just he had the luxury coming into the league with it. That's what's crazy about it. You get the luxury coming into the league with it.
I think that somewhere along the line they gotta split the difference rather than try to lowball or try to highball. There's got to be a point where they can agree. But
even what they've already offered him, which was becoming the highest paid quarterback, he turned it down. That's ridiculous. I wouldn't have even done that. Dak Prescott is a $27 million talent right now. He is a product of the team around him. And yes, he put up the numbers. You're going to with that team. You got a running game. You got a top 5 O-line. You had 2 of the best receivers last year on paper, and you're putting up numbers. You're going to. But he is unproven without it, because I lived in Dallas. I followed Dak Prescott since a rookie. When Ezekiel Elliott didn't play, Dak looked like trash, and the whole city was like, I don't know about Dak. The whole city. Ezekiel came back. He went back to looking good. This is proven. This is something that's proven. He's been in small situations, still had a great O-line. But when those 2 offensive linemen got hurt and Ezekiel Elliott was out, he didn't look half of what he looks like when everybody's there. And the whole city was mad at Dak Prescott for this small minute of about 8 games. And then everybody came back and he was back to form. You can't ignore that. Yeah, but it's been great ever since then. And he's been, now the one thing that I would give him a little extra premium for money is the fact that he's durable. He doesn't get hurt. Because I truly believe he
hasn't missed a game, and he supposedly hasn't missed a practice.
Yeah, he's very durable. And some could argue, well, he's due. Some could argue that, but I'm not going to go that far. But when you really look at it, man, you got a guy who came in the league in a perfect situation. We've seen this before. He's had a Cam Newton start to his career, right? Think about how Cam Newton started. At least Cam went to a Super Bowl, though. He's had that kind of start. putting up numbers, have all the weapons around him. But time and time, we keep getting proven by these young quarterbacks who got everything around them and they look like superheroes. And then as soon as they get their money, there's less talent around them and they go downhill. It's never the same other than Russell Wilson, which is still went down a little, but it still maintained a high level of performance.
Russell Wilson overcame that contract and the loss of some key offensive line players by having an extraordinary season the year right after that big signing. And now the team has moved in a direction to strengthen the weaknesses that they had as a result of signing Russell Wilson. Mm-hmm. So it takes time. Once you make that commitment to that quarterback on that second contract, it's going to take a little time. You got to take a loss, take a L as far as your team makeup is concerned, just to be able to satisfy the quarterback for the long term.
But that's tough, man. What Dak Prescott
is
is
tough.
Asking for is suicidal for the Dallas Cowboys, if you ask me.
Yeah, I'm wearing a Ronnie Brown jersey, Mr. Miami 305. It's one of the last player jerseys, current player jerseys that I bought, but I broke my pledge that I wouldn't do it again, and I have ordered a Tua jersey. Ooh. But I'm hopeful that he will be here for at least 2 contracts. So that's the reason why I bought it. But
all these gamblers out here.
I'm gonna put my order in for my Jason Taylor jersey very, very soon.
Nah, anyway, you can never go wrong with that, man.
Yeah.
Never could go wrong. I'm still checking my P.O. box for all y'all who say y'all get me a Tua jersey. It's still empty, man. It's still empty. I'll be waiting on all y'all who is talking that noise about I'm gonna get you a Tua jersey, TD. I'm still waiting. Man, so we got one more. Dwayne, you ready to hit?
We got one more. Actually, we got 2, but one, and I'll mention him quickly. Bryce Sturck.
Oh, before we do, I think we're doing the kid a little disjustice. And Tyson Render, because I forgot that we had video of the kid.
Yes.
And what size you wear, TD? Jersey size, extra large, man. Extra large. But I think we're doing him a disservice by not letting us take a look at his highlights and so we can get a visual of what we're talking about with this kid.
And while
Tyson
we're watching
Render,
that,
ladies and gentlemen.
While we're watching that, Anthony Manzano, I realistically hope that Rosen is the backup for this season. I hope that he's the backup. I don't want them to trade him. At least not yet.
And at that price, you just don't give up on that kind of talent. I mean, you especially at that price.
Yeah, but if you watch this kid Render in the highlights, his motor never stops. Look at it, how he beat the block.
Coming off the edge, too.
Coming off the edge, defeated the jet sweep right there. That's reading the keys and then taking full advantage of that knowledge and reacting with power right there. And this is another one where I was talking about always keeping his hands available.
Mm-hmm. He got a motor. That's what he's known for. Yep. He just doesn't stop. Whew. Run game.
You watch this kid and you say to yourself, my goodness, look at him. Now he's in coverage making plays. This kid can make plays everywhere on the field. Just have to put him in the right situations and also give him the necessary study so that he can react to the keys that are set for him in the situations that he's put in.
See, this is the type of person you'd be surprised. See, linebacker isn't the sexy position for a lot of people, but a guy like this, if he emerges and can be explosive and make plays, he could end up becoming a household name before you know it.
And he doesn't stop. He doesn't stop. Look at that play. Look at that hit. Bang! Another one. And not targeted, squared up, and shot through.
Hands. You see that motor, man.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You know, you watch him and you say to yourself, okay, from the outside, he can make plays. He can make plays. He can chase down running backs from the backside. He'll be a deterrent for teams to want to run bootlegs. So this kid can be the type of player.
Ooh, that was nasty.
Yep, coming off.
I feel bad for that quarterback, outside backer
position on a sack.
Man,
look at that. That's in the run game there.
And that's why he got 10 tackles for a loss.
Yep.
He gets back.
And on this play against Michigan, he actually picked up the onside kick, recovered the onside kick.
Nice, man.
So now we'll move into Mr. Johnson, Kylan Johnson, and young man. His body has matured, kind of light at 230 for a linebacker, but this kid is another one of those read and react linebackers that he reads the play, he attacks the gap. That's why he wanted to transfer from Florida to Pitt to be able to play in a system that was more of a read and react with respect to filling the gaps. He had a career high 9 stops for tackles for loss in that 1 year he played with Pitt. He totaled 54 stops, had 10.5 tackles for loss, and 6.5 sacks for the season in the one season that he played with Pitt. This kid has the ability to be able to read his key, react to it, and move towards making a sack or a tackle for loss quite often. So another person, he probably is going to end up on the practice squad because of the amount of talent that we have at the linebacker position. But the kid makes plays. Even on the goal line, near the goal line, he's made a play, forced a fumble, which ended up helping Pitt beat Georgia Tech. That's the play right there. So when you think about, again, what Flores is looking for in their linebackers, the ability to attack the perimeters and make impactful plays.
Somebody said, I never seen a bad highlight. You're right about that. But you know what you can learn about these highlights? You can learn about the player's motor. You can learn about their eyes. You can learn about their feet. You can see if they get up and get at it. You could tell differences between players and highlights. You could tell if they move well. You can see how they get off of blocks, how they this, that, and this. It's a lot you can read, man. That's why you got to pay attention to these type of things. We know that these are the best plays they made, but look at this one. They showing you how he's using his eyes. That's what you look for in the highlights, not just the fact he made a tackle and then he exploded on the guy and caused him to fumble. but you look at all the attributes. These coaches ain't caring nothing about the highlight itself. They looking at all the intangibles. They looking at how he uses his hands, his eyes, his feet, how he moves. All that stuff matters, man.
How during the play he's able to react to what he's seeing and taking action. That's impactful.
Ball to the left. Did he move right away or did he hesitate? All that stuff makes a huge difference, man.
Same type of impact from the UDFAs. The scouting department is golden, you know, and it helps the team in so many different ways because it shows members of the team that, hey, I need to stay motivated and stay on my game, my A game. It also helps salary cap wise as well. So you want to be able to get talent in different ways through free agency, through the draft, and through UDFAs as well. So when you can get impact players from all three avenues, that's a plus for the team.
Yes, man. Kylan Johnson. Is it Kylan?
It's Kylan. It's Kylan Johnson.
Man, he's another guy who increased his tackle totals in his senior season. He had a very good season though. 55 tackles overall. Yeah. And the thing is, another player from a Big Five conference that has experience in playing in both the SEC and the ACC, and he increased his number of tackles from his junior year to his senior year, and he had 11 tackles for loss in his senior year, that was his graduate year because he played 4 years for Florida and then transferred as a graduate student to Pitt. So he's a mature player, has 5 years experience playing football on a college level. His freshman year, he was redshirted. His original freshman year, he was redshirted in 2015. Nice, man. And Dwayne, I was gonna bring up the I know what we have next on the slides. You think we should push that to next week?
Yeah, we could push that
fresh
to next
with
week.
it.
We start fresh with the technical. We've gotten all of the additions, whether that was draft picks, free agents, and UDFAs throughout the last month and a half, whether that was on the broadcast platforms that I was a part of or other broadcasts, but it's good to get through that so that the fans know who we should be rooting for and who could possibly make the team. But now we're going to next Thursday, we'll definitely get into the details of playing, what the basics are, and we're not going to do this and I'm saying this because of what came out in the last couple of days. We're not going to do this in a Chad O'Shea way where I just throw everything out at you and expect you to spit it back out, regurgitate it in a manner that is complex. We're going to show pictures and we're going to talk and we're going to explain the details of it so that way everybody is on the same page with respect to what player roles are, why certain players were drafted because of their ability to perform certain techniques, as well as why certain players may be moving on because they don't fit a particular scheme. And all of that will come later on. But I'm looking forward to the next segment next Thursday. And I know we've been saying this Thursday, next Thursday, next Thursday, but because we get so into the UDFAs and other issues that come up during the week that we want to highlight, that we push things back. But next week, I promise that we are going to get into the minutia, but that minutia is not boring, but it helps explain why things are the way they are and why people why a team didn't draft this player, but they drafted this player because of the desire for a certain scheme fit. You hear ball game, you hear TD, you've heard EM, reason talk about scheme fit. Well, there's certain schemes that certain players fit into that don't fit into other schemes. So this is going to give you the base foundation of why certain players were drafted when other players were on the board. And I hope that you enjoy it. You know, hello, Hillary. How you doing?
I don't even know if she's still here. She stepped through for a second. I hear her out there yelling at the kids, so I know she's trying to put them to bed. Oh, man. But yes, y'all hit that like button, man. I can't wait. We're going into some of the technical things next week. We got gap assignments coming up. What else we got?
We're going to talk gap assignments, linebacker assignments, and formations packages. So that way, again, when you hear people talking about, they mention certain call outs, that you know exactly what they're talking about. So when they say 11 personnel, you know exactly what they're talking about. Or when they say heavy or 13 personnel, you know what they're talking about. And we'll be able to show that and speak to that, so that way everybody has a clear understanding going forward what is said on broadcast and on podcast, this broadcast, other podcasts, so that way you have a clear understanding of what's being said.
Awesome, man. I can't wait, because this is the time where we learn, guys. This is the time where we get all the information that we possibly can to understand the game, because when the season starts, you know, TD is going to be calling the games, and I'm going to start actually using a lot of the terminology that we're learning, the actual football terminology, and not just 3 to the right, 1 to the left and stuff like that. You'll be able to know what formation they're in, what package the defense is in, all the good terminology, and we're going to study up on it and become knowledgeable about the game, and that's what this is about, y'all, and I'm excited about it. I hope you all are. We got a few more minutes before we get out of here, so if you have any questions, go ahead and place them in the comment section so that me and Dwayne can answer them. But I'm pumped about this season. Somebody put a comment recently that said, the thing is, last year we knew we'd suck, but this year it's the mystery because we know we got better players. And they're just, that's what it's about, man. And that's why I'm so optimistic. Oh, the wife's still here. She said, nice curtains, TD. She keep messing with me about my curtains. She keeps saying, you are so over the top.
When you think about it, the schemes that were run last year with respect to how to stop the run, they may have been more effective if they had this 2020 roster. So, you look at what Flores and Greer have accomplished in just over 11 months with respect to upgrading the roster. so that Flores can implement the scheme that he wants and have the players to be able to do that. I can't wait. I can't wait to see how this is going to shake out. I'm like, I want to see whether the Dolphins are going to be in the top 10 or top 5 against the run. And that's going to be my gauge. Not just whether they are in, they're not 31st or 32nd, but whether they're in the top 10 or top 5 against the run. That's my expectation for what the talent they've put out on the defensive side of the ball. Defense wins championships, and I know everybody's so hyped about Tua and whatnot, but the defense wins those championships, wins those games on a consistent basis. The defense travels, whether it's 25 below in Buffalo or it's 85 degrees in sunny San Diego or in the dome in New Orleans. When you have a defense, you know you always are in the game. And I think that Flores has the foundation set and is ready to move on from the milk and infamil to more of a appetizer. Maybe not fully given the entree just yet, but at least being able to put some more food on the table for the defense to absorb and be able to be successful. You think about the additions of Raekwon Davis, and you really want to hope that he's successful, because if that means that Christian Wilkins on the opposite side and Agba and Lawson on the right side can be successful in stopping the run, that goes a long way to being a successful defense, and it helps the offense because they get more opportunities in better field position to be successful. And whether it's Fitzpatrick, Tua, Ruddick, or Rosen, you want to put the offense in the best situations possible to be successful. And you can't do that unless you have a good defense. So I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that the Dolphins can establish a name on the defensive side of the ball game, because whether it was the no names, the killer bees, or the Jason Taylor, Zach Thomas edition of the defense, the Dolphins have never been successful without a defense. And it all starts right there. And that's why, doggone Raekwon Davis, we pulling for you, baby. We pulling for you, Benito. We pulling for you, Lima. We pulling for you, Godchild. We pulling for you. Even we pulling for you, Moss. We pulling for you, Christian Wilkins. We pulling for all the defensive line personnel to meet the expectations that have been set by decades ago of success on the defense. Decades ago.
And we got a question for you. How many of the UDFAs do you think will make the roster? The 55.
I think that 3. I think 3 make the roster. I think 3 make the roster.
Any ones in particular you want to step out there and name?
Wow. You know what? I'm gonna put my hope with Render. I'm gonna put my I'm looking at the comment, Fire Dak. I'm looking at Render. I'm hopeful that Cole can make it, and
you think
and
Matt
Merritt.
Cole over Merritt? Oh, you saying both of them?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I tell you what. No, I gotta pull back on that. I got to pull back on that.
Okay.
I gotta pull back on it. One of the two of them, because I was thinking about last week. I think Donnell Stanley has a real good shot. At making this team at the center position. Okay.
Say that again.
I think he has a really good shot at making the team at the center position. And
I like that. I like that.
Yeah, because although I haven't heard anything about Keaton Sutherland, I think that the size that Donnell Stanley brings to the position is something that is wanted by the Dolphins, and I can see this whole offensive line in 3 years being Donnell Stanley at center, Hunt at the tackle position, Jackson at the tackle position, and Flowers and Kinley. I can see that happening. Hold on. TD, hold on for a second.
No, you're good. That's interesting, man. A lot of people saying Benito Jones. I see y'all in the comment section talking about this Dak thing, man. Listen, like I told y'all before, man, they ridiculous for even thinking about paying that man that kind of money, man. But and Dwayne, once you come back, I'll put you back in because we got another 8 minutes on the show. But yeah, man, it's kind of crazy. But I just look at it like this. The Dolphins could be faced with that situation one day, and we got to really make a wise decision. But as far as these UDFAs making the team, I would say Benito, I would say Merritt, and see, I want to go so many different ways, but I'm going to say it might be a trench player because that one guy that emerges to help the O-line. I don't know, man. I would say a trench player on offense, but I can't name the guy. I can't name the guy. I really can't. So it is what it is. But we'll see. But let me say this above anything. If you can get two guys from the UDFAs, victory. That's what it's about. If you can get two guys. Do y'all remember who the guys were last year? Who were the guys last year? UDFAs that balled out. Think about it. Think about it, y'all. Who were the guys last year that balled out that were UDFAs? Let me know in the comment section. Let's see who can get it. They had a good season. Preston Williams. Anybody else? No, this said Balazs. Y'all funny. And our DB, I always forget. Nick Needham. Somebody said Laird, the intern. Man, listen, if you can get two, that's a win. So if you get another two, you got 4 UDFAs on this roster playing starter caliber football. Think about it. Think about it. Needham. You got Preston Williams. And if you can get a Benito or a Kirk Merritt this year, you see what I'm saying here? You ain't trying to hit home runs on all of them. You already got a loaded roster. But if any of those guys can step into a valuable role and save you money, come on, man. That's what it's about. That's what it's about, man. So these are huge. Sam Eguavoen came from another league, but again, his stock didn't continue to rise. It rose in camp, but it didn't And you know what? It's unfair to say anything negative about Egovan because, again, he's a UDFA and his development is just begun. So it's so much to look at in that regards, but he did make this roster. And will he make it this year? That's the real question. That's the real question. It looked like my wife done took over the comment section talking about Dak. Listen, man, they just need to cut Dak and call what's his name? Gosh, how is his name escaping my man? Cam Newton. They need to cut Dak. Like, make a statement, because you know why? If they cut Dak right now, what is Dak going to do? What team has the money to pay him $40 million a year? What team is going to have the money to pay him $40 million a year? And my wife is right. She's actually right when she says that. Make an example at this point. Make an example. Because it's one, like, I could see if he accepted the terms of becoming the highest paid. They already offered to make him the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. And he turned it down. If it was me, I ain't talking trade him or nothing. Cut him. What do you mean? I said cut him. Give me Cam Newton on the phone. Because I am telling y'all now, Cam Newton and Andy Dalton behind that team can be just as successful, if not more successful. I'd cut him. I would literally cut him and make an example out of him. And tell him straight out, go find your money. Who gonna pay him 40? Who can pay him 30 at this point? Who can pay him 30 at this point? He gonna go get him a 1-year deal. Nobody's gonna pay him. And he gonna have to settle for less and play and potentially risk getting injured anyway. If I was Jerry Jones, I'd stand for something right now. Cut him. And then when you make the playoffs and possibly win a first-round game, you tell the fans, shut up, because he couldn't even do that. Oh, well, he got one first round. Man. I'm telling y'all now, man. I just cut him. I cut him because Andy Dalton ready. You heard what he said. Andy Dalton ready. Andy Dalton already know this is his best shot. Andy Dalton, listen. Andy Dalton ready to Tannehill the Cowboys. Hey, am I wrong? Andy Dalton is ready to Tannehill the Cowboys. Just like Tannehill did with Tennessee. Andy Dalton is sitting there. That's why he signed. He took less money to go to Dallas because he said, I think this is my best opportunity.
Yeah. He signed for like $3 million?
Yeah. He's ready to Tannehill the Cowboys up. You can't tell me Andy Dalton, with that offense, he'll have three of the best trio of receivers and one of the top running backs in the league with a top 5 offensive line. Come on. Come on. Come on, man. He gonna have all day to actually process the field and make less mistakes now.
And he's got better skilled players. He's got more skilled players than he had at Cincinnati. I mean, is it an upgrade between Joe Mixon and Ezekiel Elliott? Is it a wash really between Amari Cooper and AJ Green?
Man, if I was Jerry Jones, I'll call Andy Dalton in the office and say this: I'm about to cut Dak Prescott, but I need to tell you something. I want you to ball out this year, and I want you to lead this team to the playoffs and have some sense of success. I'm not paying you $35 million, but I'm gonna tell you now: you play well by week by the playoffs, you'll have a new multi-year deal somewhere south, somewhere around to like Tannehill money. I'll give you about 27 a year. Andy Dalton, where do I sign? He already signed, but he'll take it. And now you got a good quarterback, and you can add more. You can keep the pieces you got on the team and possibly add another one because you ain't paying $40 million. People, listen, I'm all for Dak Prescott getting paid if he can. Money is money. If I was him, I'd be going for the cash too, but I would have been signed off of being the highest paid player, but he want ridiculousness. I'm all for him getting his cash, but at the end of the day, if I'm going to take my personal feelings out of it, of him getting that cash, he ain't worth no 40. He ain't worth 35. He ain't worth 30. He is a $25 million quarterback, but since he's durable, I give him 28.
Well, the thing is, he's probably close to the 13th or 15th best QB in the league right now by the stats. But
with everything surrounding him perfect.
But he wants to get paid like he's number one.
He ain't even top 5, and he got everything around him. So what do you think's going to happen? You give him 40 and you remove about 6 of those pieces or 5 of those pieces around him. Take some of those chunk contracts away because you're giving it to him. What do you think's going to happen?
And they already lost Byron Jones because they tried to pay out or put money aside for Dak and Amari Cooper and DeMarco. What's the guy? Lawrence.
Lawrence, you talking about Smith?
Nah, the defensive end that they paid like $90 million for.
What is his name?
DeMarcus Ware or DeMarcus?
No, he's
Lawrence.
Gone. If I'm not mistaken, is Lawrence.
Yeah.
They got a lot of young guys that they got to pay over the next 2 to 3 years that were early draft picks on defense that they're not going to be able to re-sign if they make that deal. They know it.
Yeah.
They know it. Those young linebackers and all of those guys, Dallas is already up the creek with money. They got people on 7 and 8 year contracts.
Thank you, Jazzy.
They're only 2 years in it.
803 and Billy the Kid, DeMarcus Lawrence. Yep.
Yes, man. It's ridiculous, man. If I was Jerry Jones, I'd make a statement. And then Dak will be the one who's losing in this situation because he's going to have to go sign for somebody who might be able to gather up $15 million for him. Or he going to sit a whole year, wait for next offseason. And you know what's going to hurt his stock even more? If Andy Dalton, Tannehill, the Cowboys. That's what's going to happen. You think somebody, if he sits a whole year, you think somebody fresh going to give him $40 million? Man, listen, you know what Dak remind me of? Nick Foles. And at least Nick Foles did more. And what did Nick Foles do with Jacksonville?
I think he's better than Nick Foles, but
hold on. Let me ask you this. Nick Foles' Super Bowl year. Has Dak had a better year than Nick Foles that year?
I think
Nick Foles, when he won the Super Bowl that year, did Dak have a single year better than that year of Nick Foles? It's easy to say he's better than Nick Foles because Nick Foles
didn't play the whole year. He only played like he played five or six games.
So his run in those 5 or 6 games plus the playoffs. Has Dak had a better run of success? And I guess the point I'm getting at here is Nick Foles looked superior on a team. He looked superior in those 6 games plus the playoffs. Nobody's debating that. Look, he put up 500 yards with Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. He looked amazing. But you know what? They had a stockpile team that year. They had depth on top of depth on top of depth. I'll be honest with you. I've never seen a team with more depth. They had all those veterans that were good on low deals. Ajayi was even over there. The Eagles were loaded that year. They were loaded. And now you take Nick Foles, who looked amazing. You take him on a below average team, and they already got rid of him. But Dak Prescott has never had that scenario. He's had it one time and he looked terrible. The whole city was talking bad about him. Well, maybe he ain't the answer. Then he got his 2 hurt offensive linemen back and Zeke back. Now all of a sudden he the answer again. It's something to be said about these guys in perfect situations. But nobody cares.
I think every quarterback is only successful when everything is working right. I don't believe in that belief that there are super QBs, okay? Mm-hmm. Because you still need an offensive line, you still need a running back, you still need wide receivers to do their jobs. So I think that every aspect of the team is vital, and yes, the quarterback position, when you lose a quarterback, that has a harsher impact because of the amount of reps that the starting QB takes in relation to the backup. Mm-hmm. But every aspect of the team, of the offense, has to be working to its capabilities in order for the QB to be successful. And each one of those aspects needs the QB to do his job as well.
I agree, but we value them as if they can do it themselves.
Well, that's because we all live in the mindset that the QB gets all of the accolades when they're successful and gets a more than fair share of the blame when they're unsuccessful. So that's what we try to balance. And when you have a Dak Prescott with all the talent that they had around him, get used to that and then lose some of that, there's an adjustment period. Now, he didn't adjust well to it, and then when they came back, they picked up where they left off, except for the fact that they didn't make the playoffs, which is what they normally don't do anyway in the last 15, 20 years. But most quarterbacks, when you take a significant part of the offense away from the offense, their play is going to be impacted. And it doesn't matter whether it's Brady or Rodgers. You may not see it as much with those players, but it's impacted because that's an option that they have lost. There's other plays that they have to call because they don't have an Edelman for them, or they don't have a Jordy Nelson anymore. So that's a good thing. That's a good point with Jordy Nelson and Aaron Rodgers. The year that Jordy Nelson went down, didn't Aaron Rodgers' stats go down as well? When he went down for injury, his stats took a hit. But he's the super quarterback, but his stats took a hit when Jordy Nelson was injured. So every quarterback has a chink, has the ability to have a chink in the armor when somebody else goes down. Anthony, I'm trying to figure out what your question is. Does it benefit the defensive line specifically to play offenses that run triple option because of the difficulty reading the blocking schemes for the offensive line? I think anytime that you can play a team that you know what's going to be coming at you, and you have good coaching, the defensive scheme should be able to nullify certain aspects of any offense. So when you have good coaching as well as talented players, and you're able to put the game plan in a way that can be readily edible for each and every person on the defense, it doesn't matter whether they were running an RPO or a triple option or an old wishbone offense like Oklahoma used to do in the 70s. It doesn't matter if you have the players and the scheme, you can nullify certain parts of that offense. I guess that's the best way I can answer that question. And I wanted to make sure that I got your question answered because it seemed like you were repeatedly asking me and TD to answer that question. So I hope I answered it. I answered it to the best that I could. I'm not a coach, but I understand that the need to prepare. If you practice and prepare, you're 2/3 of the way to making sure that you're successful, and whether that's on offense or defense or in life, you prepare yourself for whatever situation is in front of you.
Man, this thing is crazy, man.
Now, I know people got their feelings or in their feelings about Dak, and some people think that he should have took offers previously. Some people think that the team should have stepped up maybe a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, and signed him. But the current all that aside, the current situation is this: somebody's got to move to the left a little bit. Somebody's got to move a little to the right a little bit in order for a deal, long-term deal, to be made. Otherwise,
I'm hoping
Dak is going to play it out.
I'm hoping Jerry Jones don't budge. A matter of fact, I wish he'd come down on his offer because Dak is going to make 31 this year on a franchise. And if they franchise him next year, he get a 20% raise, which is about $37 million, which I don't see happening. But if they did, they can keep 1 year in it and it'll all even out to what they wanted anyway. But at the same token, man, I'm mad that this is even being entertained.
Yeah, I mean, it's poor management because they should have realized that you needed to take care of the QB position first. And you might have been able to take care of it in a manner that, I mean, you could have signed Byron Jones as well, but they didn't. And so we as Dolphin fans will gladly accept Byron Jones, but they should have had a little more foresight into what the salary cap and the players' ability was in order to get this done a lot sooner. It doesn't make sense that you have this situation occurring. It just doesn't make sense.
And people have to understand, in a situation like this, it's almost impossible to trade him. It's just like Russell Wilson. Who wouldn't want Russell Wilson on his team? But why weren't they able? They were trying to trade him. You can't trade a guy big assets and then have to pay him that big of a money. Your team is hostage for the next 4 years. You don't get high draft picks. That's why the Laramie Tunsil situation was terrible by the Houston Texans. Yeah. And then they had to end up paying him $22 million. We were never paying Laramie Tunsil $22 million.
Yeah, they had a gun to the head with that one because Laramie Tunsil had all the bargaining power.
We were never paying that man $22 million, Dwayne. And do you know that the Patriots in the last 10 years never paid more than $23 million on their entire O-line? In the last 10 years. Go look it up, y'all. Go look at the salaries by position in units. They never paid more than $23 million in 10 years on their entire O-line.
They have been fiscally prudent with a lot of their players. It seems like every 3-4 years, they would much rather say goodbye than come on back because they draft well, they scout well, and they foresee the future better than a lot of organizations ever have.
The Patriots literally go ahead, my bad.
Because of their ability to say, I'm going to draft Tyson Render 2 years early rather than need to sign a Von Miller to a contract a year too late, and then have to get rid of somebody a year or two later than what they should have. They have always been able to have that foresight. They've made the decision to actually go with the draft pick rather than sign a free agent, and that is because they have had people in the pipeline to step up and be the next person up for a 3-year period and just keep the line moving.
Keep on rotating them. They don't fall in love with players.
To Brewski, to Lawyer Malloy, to whoever else. They have always been able to have it where they got a safety that has been good for 2.5 years. Well, we're drafting somebody and we're going to develop that person, and in a year and a half, he's going to be ready to take that safety spot, so we don't have to pay him to keep him.
Exactly. And you know how slick the Patriots are with it. So you know how teams will have a guy on a rookie contract, like take a left tackle, right? He'll be on a rookie contract, but they're like, we're not going to be able to afford this guy. We're going to have to trade him at some point on this contract year. The Patriots literally went out and traded for an offensive lineman who was an all-pro because the team wasn't going to be able to afford him. And they used them for that 1 year. And they drafted his replacement. And then whenever it came time to sign him, they said, no, we were never going to sign you. We just needed you to help us win this Super Bowl. And now we got our replacement who sat behind you for a year. They're infamous for their starters sitting a year. They do that all through the roster. It ain't many draft picks that start in New England in a lot of cases. Believe it or not, a lot of these guys sit.
They sit and learn, and they mature. They go into that incubator, and they will pop them out when they're fully ready. And by that time, that contract for that player who's been playing is up, and they say, well, we already got your replacement. You can find an offer someplace else.
Man, this is a beautiful night because my wife in the comment section, right, Dwayne? And usually she'll open the door, she'll look at me like, you're going over. We're supposed to have our date night, movie night. And since she's entertained in this one, I'm getting to keep going and keep going and keep going. Well,
since she's on the line listening,
oh man,
I enjoyed the show that you put on, but I'm still never, ever gonna be a Cowgirl fan.
Ever. Listen.
The best season for me would be the Dolphins winning the Super Bowl, and the Patriots and the Jets only have a tie between them, have 2 ties, one between them and one between the Cowgirls, and the Cowgirls go 0-14-2 as well. That's what I would like to see. The 3 teams, the Patriots, the Jets, and the Cowboys all go 0-14-2.
You heard what she said to you, right? Listen, I ain't trying to. I ain't trying to flex or nothing, but my wife know who run this house. The Dolphins run this house, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get that straight now, okay? There are occasions where I allow her to show love for the Cowboys because, happy wife, happy life. But she knows what time it is. She knows who the Dolphins run this house through and throughout, all right? Ain't no question about it. So, baby, I love you. I'm about to get ready to come, and we can enjoy a movie together. Well, we're going to keep watching. We finished that. We probably need to go ahead and watch the movie that Dwayne keep telling us about, Three Billboards.
3 billboards outside of Ebbings, Missouri. It is a good movie.
Let's talk about We Them Boys. Man, we about the kids around the house.
Girls.
True.
Got them girls.
Baby,
them girls.
them girls. Hey, are the kids asleep, babe? I may need to keep going until they sleep. Oh man. But this is go ahead.
But you know what? Again, I'm going to reiterate the fact that I see marked improvement with the roster.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very hopeful that we're going to see, as Dolphin fans, marked improvement on the defense, marked improvement on the offense. There's going to be some players that's on the team that's going to have to take a step back in their snap counts because of the schemes and that's going to be run on both the offense and defense. As fans, don't get too upset over the fact that somebody's not getting the playing time that you thought they should. As long as the logo is moving up the ladder, that's what we all want to see. That's what we all want to see. Okay. I used to be where I would get upset about Ronnie Brown not being on the Dolphins anymore. But guess what? The logo goes on. The logo goes on. Okay.
Sure, what time it is, man.
This was Ronnie Brown, 23, back in the day, the Wildcat. I've watched that game 3 times since the quarantine, just to get my good feelings up on days that I was feeling kind of down. But guess what? Flores and Greer have put the Dolphins in a situation where they can be successful and be on the path to the glory that we all want to see, that some of us Dolphin fans of more than 15, 20 years of fandom have known, where it was a given that we were in the playoffs. It was a given. And to get back to that, and I know that Sperano has gone from us. We're sad for Sperano because he brought back some glory to us. And I remember being out there at MetLife Stadium when the Dolphins beat the Jets for the AFC East crown. And that was one of the best football moments of my life when I saw that game. So he'll always have a special part in Dolphin lore, and I'm just hopeful that who's warning me? What are you warning me about? Oh, okay. I see what you're saying now, Rhinos you. I see what you're saying. Yeah, I'm getting ready. You ready? You ready? You ready?
Close it out the way.
Yeah, we're gonna close it out.
Get
Go Dolphins! Go Dolphins! Go Dolphins! Go Dolphins! Yeah, baby!
Fins up, man. This is TD Fins Talk, home of the real Miami Dolphin fans. We love y'all. Y'all have a great night. Stay blessed, guys. Love your loved ones. All right, we're gonna see y'all soon. Tomorrow night, stay tuned. If y'all can come through tomorrow night, I would appreciate it. It is the 2-year anniversary of TD Fins Talk. I look forward to hearing from a lot of you guys just to talk about what the last 2 years have meant to some of you all, and what you think about it, and then we'll talk about the future as well. But this is TD Fins Talk, home of the real Miami Dolphin fans. We love y'all, love y'all, love y'all. We out. Peace. Woo! Dwayne crazy.